Hi guys, I see that enough people have joined. I think we can start. Again, don't hesitate to raise any issue if so with the PPT or video or sound. And please ask questions in chat box or in the Q&A. Mahmoud, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Max. So thank you all of you for joining this webinar today. And I'm delighted to have the opportunity to speak with all of you. Allow me to introduce myself briefly. My name is Mahmoud EL-Sebai, and I'm Senior Presales Engineer at SecurityGen, a company that is dedicated to providing cutting-edge solution in the realm of telecom security. Over the course of my 13 years career, I have had the privilege of working extensively in the dynamic and ever-evolving field of telecommunication. Now, a brief about SecurityGen. So about SecurityGen, our mission is clearly defined and impressive by prioritizing our customer business continuity against cyber threats. So our commitment to innovation not only ensures the best user experience for our customers, but also reinforces their brand protection, which is vital in today's competitive landscape. With our empowering solution, our customer can confidently operate ahead of cyber threats in mobile networks by creating a secure and resilient environment. This dedication to security excellence sets SecurityGen as a valuable partner for the telecom industry. A brief track record of our team. Our team have been serving mobile operators worldwide, assisting them in developing security strategies for emerging technologies while preventing fraud and ensuring network cyber resilience. We have had the privilege of conducting research and analyzing the security of new technologies such as 4G, 5G, software-defined network virtualization, and IoT as well, from the initial stage of the widespread implementation. And actually, we still look forward to continue explore new possibilities in this field. We also try to participate and share our knowledge and findings across the industry for continuous communicate all the information to our clients. So for sometimes we present our findings to GSMA, Fraud and Security Group, ENISA, ITU, governmental bodies, and security conferences as well. So talking about the agenda, we will start with the history of telecom and its evolution. Quickly, we will go through the past just to understand the significant milestones and transformations that have shaped the telecommunication industry as of today. Changing security landscape in telecom industry to identify the key risk factors that operators encounter daily. And then we will go for emerging threats, where we will explore the latest and most severe threats targeting telecom networks, from sophisticated cyber attacks to exploitation of vulnerabilities. Also, we will talk about challenges and solutions to discuss the specific challenges faced by telecom industry and examine strategies to address them. Also, we will talk about the strategies for resiliency. We will explore the best practices that MNOs can implement to enhance their security posture, ensuring they are well prepared to respond and recover to potential cyber incident. And finally, we will talk a little about our products that help our customer to achieve those strategies. Hope this agenda will be convenient for you all. So, across the generation of mobile technologies, there is evolution of responsibility. For an instant, 20 years ago, in the era of 2G, most responsibilities were on main vendors. They were responsible to create the core, the access transport network. They were doing integration. They were providing billing, while the MNOs were in charge of much smaller part to operate maybe towers, the physical infrastructure, and so on. So they were buying a lot and subcontracting and outsourcing a lot. But as we move towards 3G, 4G, and 5G, we see that alternative vendors appears and they take they play the big role. So they provide core they provide access, computing power. They can also provide security in form of managed services. So also the responsibilities that telecom takes also increases as they are responsible for the security posture and the integration between different vendors. However, the responsibility of the main vendors confined to core and access only. At the same time, we see the dramatic evolution of threats as well. Before, it was mainly about some billing evasion, maybe some fraud related to text messages, free calls. I would say mainly fraudulent activity was the dominant interest of the attackers. But since the 4G era, the wide range of attacks is covering both legacy threat landscape and complemented by the threat usual we see on the IT systems as well. Even in 5G, with the transformative shift, cybersecurity challenges and the threat vectors became more and more wide range, such as corporate customer attacks, as 5G, of course, networks cater to a wide range of corporate customers. They became attractive targets for cyber attacks. Sophisticated threats actors may attempt to breach corporate networks to steal sensitive information, disrupt service, or launch ransomware attacks for financial gain. Also targeting the private networks, which 5G enabled the private network for business and industries. So the risk of targeted attacks increases. Malicious actors may aim to compromise these private networks to gain unauthorized access to critical infrastructure or sensitive information. Also, one important thing is the API abuse, given the fact that APIs play a vital role in 5G ecosystem, facilitating seamless interactions between various services. However, if not properly secured, APIs can become vulnerable, exploited by cyber criminals to gain unauthorized access or disrupt services. So talking about 5G threat landscape, actually, it's still similar to legacy technologies targeting denial of service, data breaches, spoofing, and so on. For attacker, it's like a moving target. In other words, for 2G, he will target the global title to attempt signaling-based attacks, such as SS7 to intercept calls, track users, location, or perform other malicious activities. But for 5G, it became wider in different aspects, such as targeting network slices to disrupt specific services, exploiting vulnerabilities in virtualized network functions, attempting attacks on the SDN controllers, or even leveraging the increased number of IoT devices to launch attack on a massive scale. Now, from theory to practice, how do we understand if this threat is real, or we simply paranoid too much and overthinking? So we need to verify by offensive testing. Actually, here's some examples from our own experience. In the over the past 12 months, in the total amount of 100 plus audits we have performed by our teams, total number of the signaling protocol telecom security assessment for SS7, diameter, and GTP is about 60. We have discovered that 59% of the network we have tested have security solution deployed, while 41% of them weren't equipped with any special security measures and relying only on the feature of STP, diameter agents, etc. Actually, you found also that 11% will protect networks, which is something good, and means that it was extremely hard to execute any attack. But 89% of those networks were hackable, where our audits have succeeded to perform threats as personal information disclosure, location tracking, and the ability to manipulate with data processed and stored, denial of service for a specific subscriber, or a network. Given the privacy statistic, I guess it's clear by now that there are a lot of potential threats, and a lot of them is proven. And there are multiple reasons and root causes for such a situation. But let's summarize it on a high level. What are the major groups of the challenges not letting industry successfully resolve this? First, is convergence, as 5G networks integrate with various technology, increasing the complexity of securing them. The huge amount of connected devices, each brings their unique security needs and expanding the potential vulnerabilities. Also evolving of hacking techniques as technology advances, so do the hacking methods do. Cyber criminals are developing sophisticated ways to exploit by 5G vulnerabilities. Actually, these challenges make 5G security is a complex task requiring the collaboration of all the stakeholders. Also, one last but not least, the important thing is the cybersecurity skill shortage. As for the last year, for example, the cybersecurity workforce has reached an all-time high of almost 4.7 million professionals. It's unique. It's quite a big number. However, it doesn't help to estimate if it is already enough for, or no, as there is still global shortage for 3.4 million workers in these fields, which means 70% more resources are needed. Now, looking for the attack surface, looking at this picture, the network itself is quite big, and starting from legacy, the attacks were possible from the roaming interfaces. Now, with addition of the 5G, we have more attacks related, but potentially to HTTP2 more. But for now, there is API-based attacks. There is some extent very familiar to roaming interfaces, because roaming interface is the interface towards your trusted partners who helping you to serve more subscribers and generate revenues. Exactly the same situation with APIs, given the fact is that the approach of trusted networks failed completely. And right now we actually follow different approach of zero trust. As when we trust our IPX partner, we failed in security. So you open APIs as the interface to different systems, to your partners in order to provide some new use cases, to provide some new services to your subscriber. This is quite relevant also given the fact that the modern network is not bare metal anymore. It is not proprietary. We have all of these pieces of independent commercial of the shelf hardware located in some data centers with the abstract level of virtualization. All of the workload on the top of virtualization, huge amount of management and orchestration systems in order to manage these virtualized platforms. So we have this OSS, BSS, and API plan, which very, very much relevant to the cloud security, because this is very similar stack of technologies as we have in cloud. Doesn't matter it's public clouds or private clouds, all the same. Also, Open RAN initiatives and a lot of security concerns related to this aggregation of software from hardware, open interfaces in radio access. So to summarize this, the attack vectors are continuously increasing and widening. So giving the previous big picture in the previous slide, now let's zoom into what is the core of 5G standalone. Indeed, the transition to 5G networks, it opens the new possibilities and the challenges in terms of connectivity, but it also introduces potential security risk. So the integration of 5G standalone with public internet and its compatibility with both 5G roamers, LTE roamers, create a border attack surface that malicious actors may attempt to exploit. And now let's see some exploitation examples. So take a look at this slide. We have connected device, can be by user smartphone or IT device. Then we have the G node B as the antenna, which provides this wireless connectivity for the connected device. Then we have some core network, which is in charge to provide access to the internet and this case. So step by step, session management function, SMF. This some kind of management node in the network to decide whether to provide service and how to charge it. Then we have user plane function, UPF. In simple words, this is just a router receives data from one interface sent to another interface according to policies and routing rules. Now, how it works. When subscriber would like to receive some services, in our case, he will just access the access to the website in case of allowed, he is allowed to do so. And then his traffic will go to the internet, and we can see in this green arrow, this we call the uplink, and then he gets the content in the downlink connectivity. So while he's browsing on the internet, content is loading, and he gets this information on this smartphone. Now let's take a look and understand how the hacker can intervene into this process. If there is a bad guy and he was able to get connectivity towards the core network, this will discuss a little bit later how we can get access to this core network. He can spoof actually the SMF function. He will pose himself as a use session management function in the network, and he will send the instruction to UBF. The way how UBF serves this exact subscriber, and it's maybe scenario that he will say the GNB which is serving this subscriber has been changed. Actually makes sense because our subscriber he's mobile subscriber, and he is moving from one location to another. This is actually the fake GNLP, just simple host, which will be responsible to record user traffic, and then the attack is successfully executed for every type of this service that our subscriber is requesting from the internet. Hacker will be able to collect the content that he is using. Sorry. Now, let's take a look how look in reality in our lab. On the left hand side, we have the screen of the smartphone. This is our target. On the right hand side, this in the screen, it will be the hacker. I will provide you some guidance what you can see actually. Now we switch on the recording. So we can switch. Yeah, we start. As you can see, so some of you knows it's console, some settings. The victim is getting connected now to the network. We just make sure that it's not Wi-Fi, it's mobile network connectivity, and we verify that the web page is accessible. Okay, so the victim, he can load the web page. Now hacker will start exploitation. He will try to exploit DHCP to actually send the instruction to the UBF that there is a new GNLP in the net. And at this point of time, all the downlink of the subscriber is already intercepted by the hacker, and he is simply recording this traffic. Once this traffic is recorded, he will try to export this. So we will go into the Wireshark window, we will select the recorded data, and we will open up this content. Yes, this web page that we were able to record on the downlink, as you can see, exactly the same type of content. This actually how it's work on these attacks. So now let's continue. So now let me explain why it's a critical first in the wireless network. There are two types of traffic interception attacks. Some attacks may be executed only in case of physical proximity, when the hacker is close to the victim and he is trying to intercept something which is happening. We say in the wireless networks, but in this case, the attack is completely remote, or the hacker doesn't have to be close to the victim. He just need to network accessibility of the core network, and that's it. The second thing is in case after he can actually steal the data, which is destined to the victim, to you. And the third thing is this attack leave almost no traces. So you will never know if your data was ever intercepted, which is not good, because some attacks may happen and we tend to think that everything leaves traces in the digital world. But in case, given the fact that the majority of the exploitation, it looks like very liquid operations, and the network told you really hard to find some traces. So maybe no traces will be left. So another example related to the denial of service. The denial of service in this case, once again, the hacker who get access to the core network, he can take over the session management function. He will spoof and he will tell the entire network that he's the new SMF, the guy in the network, and he will simply send instructions towards the UPF saying, hi guys, there is no need to serve this subscriber anymore. So simply delete his session, and this moment, mobile network will simply forget about this user from the user point of view. Absolutely nothing will change. So you will still see this 5G logo, strong signal on your smartphone screen, but nothing will work. And this is to a large extent the interesting impact of the attack, because it looks like everything works for you, but nothing is loading. So once again, let's see how it can be happen on the lab. So we will start the video again. The lab network is launching, then we will verify that the victim is actually connected to the mobile network. We will properly now open some streaming application just to make sure that our victim is connected to the internet and has access to the content. And now attacker is trying to exploit the VFCP, sends an instruction to UVF to forget about the user. Once it's done, the connection is over, as we see. It will actually take some time to restore the connection, and only God knows how many procedures it will take to restore this connection. So the impact is quite simple. The network is down and customer cannot get access to it anymore, even though on the screen, it looks like completely everything works and nothing goes. So now what is happening in this case and why it is bad? Because in the, let's say, of connected wallet, a denial of service can be the point of sales terminal for the ATM or some kind of IoT devices. Actually, this can affect critical business function. You never know what will be broken in this case if the network is down. So this is number one. Number two, that is definitely consumer and business right now that they are not able to tolerate, let's say, the unavailability of this service. The third thing is that denial of service attacks are quite frequently used in order to masquerade some another illegal activity. Now I showed you only two examples over the exploitation of 5G networks. There are many more, some of them related to the 5G and the new protocol itself, some of them more IT related, but actually this is how it's. Now, this raised actually very important question. So do 5G is secure by design, as all of us thinking? So actually, the answer is not really. Why? Because protocol like the BFCP, looking at the BSP specification, we can say it is a cousin of GTP, which has been proven to be vulnerable to denial of service, fraud, and data breach in 4G, and even more in 5G. The second fact is 5G will not work alone without any parallel generation. So we can say that the 5G will always be running side by side with LTE, and will be no separation will happen. Last but not least, many of the attacks in general are possible due to misconfiguration or default settings. So now let's see some interesting example about it. As per the last research made by Trend Micro in 5G network deployments, may leave the UBF interface exposed to the internet, and consequently we are within reach of threat actors on external networks, even if it is protected behind firewall, network address translation, and in isolated environment through an exposed 5G core interface. And here we can see the number of the top countries with the potential exposed UBF and GGSN node to the internet as per Shodan. And for who don't know what Shodan is, you can say that Shodan is search engine for the Internet of Things, including business networks, industrial controller systems, webcams, printers, and service server. So coming to strategies for resiliency, let me share an example with you. For example, ENISA 5G cybersecurity landscape, which is published in 2020. This document describes the potential vulnerabilities across different domains of the ecosystem, from the radio network to the core, including the virtualization and orchestration. So over 250 pages. And yes, it is not exhaustive list, actually. Something also about ENISA, the last published documents, which is the ENISA 5G security controls matrix, which has been published a couple of months ago. And this is a comprehensive list of security controls and best practices. Actually, what is interesting about these documents that it gives actionable items. I mean, for every security objective, for different aspects, it gives you what steps actually you should take to achieve these objectives. So it has controls, what to do, objectives, why to do, and measures, how to do. In the context of the 5G security, let's say that the tried and tested approaches which we would realize in IT networks for decades already very relevant about what we are talking today. And fortunately, we are not powerless in order how to implement this. So even if you take the good old MESD framework, this is more than applicable to the 5G world as well. So we need to assess, protect, detect, respond, and remediate. So you need to know your assets and what you protecting and from what you are protecting, and then you need to protect, because you need to be proactive in terms of your ability to prevent some incident, and for sure you need to continuously monitor and detect the anomalies and potential breaches. But 5G actually is incredibly large ecosystem with a lot of moving parts. Regulators, vendors, suppliers, network operators, enterprise customers, a lot of stakeholders, including supply chain. So many aspects that you should take care of. So I want actually to be really clear with you that even though, yes, I do understand what is about how big the world it is and what I can, with all these threat vectors, what I can be on support in this case. So talking about our products, we can help you to understand what is your security posture. Are you vulnerable? What are the relevant threats and verify? Which threats actually are priority in order to do so? We have the breach and attack simulation platform. And second part is that we give you eyes, we help you to introduce visibility over your telecom assets into your security operation center, which is the place where you collect information about everything which is happening in your networks, trying to identify the illegitimate activity. But unfortunately, mobile networks itself, sometimes it's giving the blind eyes. So you don't see everything that's happening inside. So we give you this visibility specifically over 5G, LTE, and legacy technologies as well with our intrusion detecting systems. And another thing is about protection, of course. You need to be proactive in, let's say, ability to introduce some smart policies in the network. So you need to decide which traffic to allow, which traffic to block, or which to put in a specific alarm. So for this, we have actually the 5G ready signaling firewall. Also, you will need to have a better understanding and better preparation to protect against the security issues and the vulnerabilities associated with the 5G ahead of the actual rollout. And for this, actually, we are proposing our 5G security lab to have this knowledge. So actually, this was a small brief about our products, about the threat landscape related to 5G and even the legacy technologies. Hopefully that I was able to give you the right message about these issues, and we'll be happy to receive your question on the show.
Guys, feel free to ask any question if you feel like in the chat or comment box.
So I think there is a question here. So, for the attacks example you shared, is this something what is already happening in the wild? No. So this is actually a good question. Actually, there are definitely types of vulnerabilities that can found in real networks. So some mobile network operators have already deployed standalone cores. So I really hope that we'll be able to find and fix such issues before hackers will find this.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
I have a question. Is there any artificial intelligence mechanism or machine learning mechanism to support new attack vectors?
Yes, sure. Of course, AI. It's a lot of the products now influenced by AI for the sake of automation, and for even as I have presented in the presentation, like the intrusion detecting system. So some interesting features on the IDS, like the element profiling, for example. What is element profiling is it's something like detecting the malicious nodes. So by session management. So when any node with a specific global title trying to do the function of MSC, for example, trying to send some messages to get some important information like the MC. So then by the use of element, the session management, it can act as another node, for HLR, for example, for perform some attacks like location disclosure. So by IDS, you will see that this actual node looks like suspicious node, because in some time it will send the messages as if it is MSC, and other times it sends messages like as if it's HLR. So this node can be actually detected and marked as suspicious node. This is actually one example of how AI interfered on the IDS, for example. Hope
Thank
this
you so
answered
much.
your question.
Okay, thank you, Mahmoud.
You're welcome. So I think
But we have some questions in the chat,
yes,
the Q&A.
Yeah, I think there is another one. In 5G, there are many new security features and functions, like SIP, for example. Yeah. Will it help to improve the security? Yeah, so this is good and actually related to the future. So yes, actually there are many security functions in 5G. People even say that 5G is secure by design or architecture. So in reality, it means that security was considered in design in 5G, of course, but it doesn't mean that is the bulletproof. It's simply better than previous generation. So as an answer to your question, it's yes, SIP will help to make the IPX interconnection more secure, but it's not the reason to relax, actually, unfortunately. 5G, it's much more complex as an ecosystem, as we have seen on these slides, which results in extended attack surface in many directions.
As a last question, Mahmoud, is there any certification planned for the core network penetration tests, like the web application testers?
Actually, sorry, your question again?
As you know, there is too much certifications for the web penetration testers.
Testing. Yeah.
Yes, but for our zone, there is no certification.
Yes.
Is
I
there any certification planned for that globally? Do you know or not?
Actually, I don't know about the certifications, but what I really know from this field that it comes with, the exposure of from the experience itself. I mean that GSMA is publishing a lot of issues, 3GPP, ENISA, and so on. But actually, the real experience is coming from the on-hand experience itself. So to be a good pen tester or so, it's about getting involved on many security assessment with operators to be able to see what is real life is. This is my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
So another question from the chat that the presented threats all refer to 5G. Based on your worldwide assessment, do you see the main threats to mobile networks relevant on 5G compared to other legacy protocols? And what is the percentage of attacks on 5G compared to GTP diameter SS7 nowadays? So, okay. So some of the examples are from the research, of course, not from real life, because there is not massive implementation till now. And some already proven actually to the present in real networks, but as the current pains, you're right. So far, the majority of issues are still from diameter SS7 and GTP. So it's also rising. Another one. So are you only talking about MNOs and macro 5G networks? And what about the private networks? So, well, private networks are smaller. They belong to different type of owners. So enterprise company, for example, which make it potentially easier to manage from security point of view. But at the same time, the type of security requirement in enterprise or for factory, for example, it can be higher, which means that the cybersecurity is even more required, because from technical point of view, some technologies used, so same vulnerabilities are in these actually applicable. one more question. What is your opinion of current trends in Middle East or in Africa? Do MNOs treat this seriously? Absolutely. A lot of regulations are introduced, and MNOs sometimes they are following, but sometimes they are even leading this trend, trying to propose that what they tried and tested and their best practices as well. So yes, actually. Another one. Are these threats described also relevant for currently available 5G networks? Yeah, okay. As you know, majority of the available 5G deployments are based on LTE core, which is the known as non-standalone. So, which means that all the vulnerabilities related to LTE are applicable for 5G service providers as of today. So attacks like denial of service, traffic interception, and data leakage are all very much relevant to this. This is even proven of the offensive audits that we have done from our own experience in this market. Okay. Another one. How about GTP protocol? Are there these protocols vulnerabilities in 5G generation? If yes, please tell us what is your firewall solution. So yes, 5G has a kind of wormhole that GTP vulnerabilities. So these protocols, the backbone of 4G and 5G as well. Interconnectivity is riddled with hidden pitfalls. So our status shows that our over 90% of the tested network with exposed GTP contain at least one security vulnerability with GTP-based attacks ranging from fraud and denial of service attack to user impersonation. So actually the risks are both diverse and dangerous. And actually for the second part, the answer is yes, we have firewall for GTP protection as well. One. Are your signaling firewall separate nodes, products, or embedded in 3GPP? Okay, so yes, actually, we propose firewall and the IDS, which is called the next generation firewall, and independent network functions. So do we have any other, do you see any other question, Max, please?
Oh, I don't think so.
I think I received those one. Does 5G present new challenges for the attackers regarding 4G, and which do you think they are? And another linked question, does the current open source tools offer enough playground to this? It's in the wild. So yes, actually 5G is something new of this. So new set of technologies, convergence with IT as well. So actually the answer for questions is yes. So any other questions?
There is one little question about the typology.
Sorry.
in the chat, in the Q&A.
Okay, those actually those questions are already answered now, Max. So actually, if we are we will review the questions and answers we have done during the session, and for any reason, if any question is missed, actually we will respond it by the email as well. So thank you all so much for attending the webinar. And Max, if you want to say something before we close.
Yes, thanks everyone for joining, for asking questions. We will send the recording soon. The email will follow up shortly, and see you in the next webinars with us. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.